Hello again. This is part 2 of a multi-part series, so I suggest you start with part 1, but hey, I won't tell you what to do. And I see no reason not to really just jump right into it. I'm changing the play order of characters this time around. Before it was based on the order that they sat on the bus. No, really. But now I'm going from worst to best from early game. I started off by drinking a beer and setting out with Mordecai. Just, getting into character. Morty was actually holding up so much better with his new skill. The recharge still needs some work, but it's much less of an issue now that Bloodwing will clear out most of the room all on his own. Lilith was also starting to feel a lot more powerful, but I'm not gonna lie, I think it has less to do with her actual skills and more to do with the legendary exploding shotgun I found for her. Roland was still kicking a lot of ass. I was a bit worried he'd have nowhere to go in terms of skill though. But that doesn't mean he'll get worse. And my man Brick was still punching his way to victory, though he did struggle with flying enemies. Even more so when you have to fight Mothrak back in Firestone. Can we leave this place for more than 2 minutes? Next up, we had to try and get Crazy Earl to give us a vault map. In order to do that, we have to kill a fuck ton of bandits for both fun and later beer. Yeah, Crazy Earl, I didn't want to do this sober either. Bloodwing's multi-attack was maxed out, and it showed. He didn't do that much damage, but sometimes he'd attack the same enemy multiple times. And if there weren't any enemies in the immediate area, he'll hang around like a little guardian angel, and I'm just so proud of him. And then there was Lilith, who was in an odd position. I think she was technically more powerful, but she by far had to eat the most deaths. Why? Barrels. When Lilith's Firehawk skill pops off, it sets everyone and everything on fire, including explosive barrels. So you have to creep around every corner, checking for any colored barrels that aren't quite colored enough to stand out from the background, and if you don't see one, you'll kill an enemy just to explode. And then you're stuck. You have no choice but to die. As for Roland, I stand corrected. He actually can improve. In fact, he actually needs to work on his survivability. So I started allowing his turret to heal him, which might make it worth using a lot more. His turret's not bad, it's just that it's kind of clunky. The missiles that it fires aren't super helpful because usually the target is dead before the missile hits them anyway, and it just doesn't really do that much damage outside of that. But that might not be fair because I'm comparing it to how much damage Roland does, and Roland's kind of ridiculous. Brick was still my outlet of pent-up rage, and he was also the only character that wasn't being built into a new tree. I was going for punch duration because I desperately needed it. At this point in the game, the environments kind of open up a lot more, so you have a lot more distance to travel when you have to punch everything, so punch duration was definitely a necessity. After getting all that done, it was time to kill Crom. Okay, so, I might have messed up. Originally, Crom marked the end of mid-game, but if I did that, mid-game would be way too short. We're on loop 3. Early game had 6 loops. So I'm gonna make some on-scene adjustments, and I'm gonna extend mid-game a bit. Not too far, mind you, just to the point where we kill Taylor Cobb instead. But for now, let's focus on Crom. So, at this point in the game, everyone became a shotgun build. I really kind of wanted to avoid that, but unfortunately, shotguns are kind of the only weapon that feel good to use. So, Mordecai was able to deal more crit damage now, right? And I was trying to avoid that because of my experience with sniper rifles, but this time I just gave him a shotgun, and he's just better at it. And to be fair, it might be because of the kind of shotgun I had. Seriously, the shotgun was so accurate that the cursor overlaps with itself. Not even kidding. But that doesn't change the fact that here we are. Shotgun lands 1. But now that I do have that extra crit damage, I kind of want to go back over something real fast. So all that stuff that I said about scopes in the last video, I wanted to correct myself. I have no fucking clue how scopes work. Or snipers at all for that matter. I tried looking it up, and it seems that people agree that snipers are hinky, but Nobody really knows why. Some people were saying it might be because you have to lead your shots due to bullet travel. So I tested it, and I don't think that's it. It's not a hit scan, but it's not any worse than what I'm used to. Though hitting a moving target is hard enough due to the janky animation, so maybe it's a combination of things? The point is, snipers suck and shotguns are king. Basically what I'm saying is that I don't like aiming because aiming is for big brain people and I don't think. But yeah, Morty was doing really well with his bird shotgun combo. Then there was... Lilith. She was still taking so many big L's because of those cylinders of death. It is impressive how crippling it is, especially since the skill that makes barrels an issue is also the skill that makes Lilith good. It's suffering from success. But the biggest issue is that when she's not getting exploded from her own abilities, she's just not fun to play. I think it just has to do with the fact that all of her skills are kind of just based around her existing. She doesn't really have any sort of skill or application to her. And I realize that that sounds like I'm saying she's too good, but it's not that she's too good, it's the way in which she's good. I think that that's a pretty good segue into Roland, who I was having the most fun with. This might be a bit of a spoiler, but I think he was doing a lot better than Lilith, while simultaneously also being more fun to play. Lining up your cursor and landing a shotgun blast that just one-shots a target is just... oh, it feels really good. The satisfaction of blowing a bandit's head off really doesn't get old. And it was only becoming more fun as I got new toys to play with. So, Brick. He wasn't doing poorly. Yeah, that was quite the loaded sentence. I could really feel his lack of ability without his skill catching up with him. As much as I hate to admit it, you can't just punch everything. I know. A truly sad existence. He was still clearing rooms out pretty well, don't get me wrong, but this area just has way more long-range targets, and it's also just a more open-ended area. There's also a lot of things here, like turrets, that just can't be stopped with a simple fist to the head. After that, it was time for another beer. What, you thought I was gonna do this sober? And I started the final loop for mid-game. I know, I took it from 3 to 4 loops, but I only remember like 3 major events after this, and I don't want the end game to be like 2 loops long. That and this loop just kinda sucks. It's a ton of missions that are just kind of scattered around all over the place, involve you going back and forth and doing a lot of fast traveling. I mean, at least we get to kill Slithers. Fuck Slithers, and every goddamn slimy heretic to ever follow him. But also, there's a couple of missions that involve you going through low-level areas for some reason. Low-level areas you've already been to. Like, couldn't we have just gotten this mission when we showed up here the first time? But whatever, let's talk characters. Morty was actually holding up really well, and he was just satisfying to use too. The only thing I really want now is the ability to throw my gun in the trash and just summon birds to the end of time. Lilith was less of an issue here, if only because there were less fucking barrels. It's like 2000s YouTube all over again. Roland was just... he was just playing Killing Floor, and I loved it. I found this legendary shotgun that is just an auto shotgun. So you just walk into the room, you plant the trigger down, and you don't let go. You kill everything. He was teaching every bandit in the area the laws of lead-based physics. And God, it was fun. Brick was handling most things pretty well, but he had, by far, the hardest time in the arena. I'm not gonna hold that against him too much, because the way that the arena works is kinda bullshit. Sometimes it's like, here, fight 4 badasses at the same time, and then you go back in and it's like, here, have some midgets. And then after you beat the level 29 second round, the next round is level 28, but it spawns level 31 enemies. So something is fucky here. But even then, Brick just had a significantly harder time with it. It wasn't crippling for him, but it could be enough to make a difference. After dealing with Cobb, we continue, and...
Prepare yourself. Your next challenge awaits. It might seem insurmountable, but you can do this.
Yes, Angel, please. Tell me how insurmountable this next fight will be. How much skill and effort will go into this next fight. The epic challenge that awaits me in this level 27 trivial mission. This boss is so fucked, and I'm excited to finish this video just so I can see it. But for now, this is the end of mid-game. So, let's move on to the ranking. I do want to state that it was actually way harder for me to determine who was better here than in early game. For the most part, everyone actually felt really balanced here, which might be because of good game design, or maybe it was because I was drunk and bored for most of it, so I wasn't really paying attention. Quality content I'm providing, I know. But I did manage to figure out a ranking. So, from worst to best yet again, our lowest was... Lilith. I bet you fucking know why. It's because of all those goddamn barrels. I don't even know what to do about it. I could respec her, but I don't really see her other trees being that useful. On the other hand, if I stay in this tree, I'll continue to blow myself up. It's a cycle of pain, and I don't know how to escape. In all fairness, it's really not that bad. Like I said, everyone did feel a lot more balanced here, and barrels are only an issue when I'm running into battle without a thought in my head. But I guess that's why I don't like it. I have to play her slower, more thoughtfully, more boringly. It's just not as much fun to play as her. So fuck it, she's on the bottom. Up next was... Brick. My hero. How could you have fallen? So, what happened to Brick? Well, he's actually suffering in a similar way to Mordecai right now. He's got one thing he's really good at, but without it, he's in a bit of a bind. I started to work towards giving him more survivability, and that should go a long way. What he might also need is just to do more damage when he's not able to punch things. I was thinking about explosives, since my natural instinct when he goes down is to blow stuff up, and it usually works. But that only works on smaller enemies. Badasses are still a problem, so survivability is probably the way to go. Following that was... Mordecai. He's going through quite the character arc here, isn't he? Yeah, as it turns out, that one skill that lets blood attack more than one target was kind of a game changer. Now all of a sudden Morty was able to clear out most of the room with his skill, and so its recharge time was really not a problem. Putting it almost on the same level as Brick in terms of crowd control. Except Mordecai had the distinct advantage of having range. Honestly, picking between Brick and Mordecai was really tough. It was really the arena thing that made the difference between them. But I think that it's fitting it was hard to choose between them, since they are my favorite pair of bros in all future games. But neither of them stood a chance against the motherfucking Doomslayer. I mean, Roland. Funny thing is, it wasn't even really Roland's skills that were making him better, it was kind of just his new toys. At this point in the game, you start to get better stuff. And by that I mean I had 3 legendary revolvers as Roland, and I was upset about it because he wasn't using revolvers. But it didn't matter, because I found a legendary shotgun too. And this shotgun was basically just a machine gun that just decided to fire all of its bullets at once. I was also increasing his survivability because badasses were still sort of an issue, and that was good, because now with the healing aura on his turret, he could actually just tank some damage to deal with some beefy enemies for a while. And everything else was just mincemeat to him. I want to go ahead and add in the statement about this being all my opinion and personal experience and all that. More so here than ever because RNG has a huge impact on this. Like I said, I've kind of done something like this before, and Roland had, more or less, the same exact build last time, but he did way worse because he didn't get as good of equipment. Which, frankly, is probably the only reason I was willing to do this again. And for now, that's it. This video will probably turn out a lot shorter than the last one. And that's probably for the best, because I'm in the middle of trying to upload more regularly and also move at the same time. The next part might be a bit late as a result, but I'll try my best. I'm working on polishing out some of the hinks with my editing while also trying to improve the quality of my editing, so I hope this is something that takes off, because I do have fun with it. And with that, I draw this video to a close. We're nearing the final stretch, and I'm excited to see it.